Welcome to Intuitive Transformations with your host, Sylvia Henderson, and discover tools, wisdom, and inspiration that will empower you to transform your life. Sylvia is an intuitive life coach and energy healer with a growing practice that is focused on empowering others to be more of who they want to be. For the next hour, join Sylvia and explore and unravel anything in the way of you creating the life that you would love to live on the OMTimes Radio Network.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Intuitive Transformations Radio Show on OMTimes Radio FM, the voice of consciousness. Intuitive Transformations Radio is where you will find tools you can use to change and transform your life. That's what this show is all about. I'm Sylvia Henderson, your host, and I am an energy healer and an intuitive life coach. I'm starting to call myself an energy alchemist, though, because it really is all about shifting and changing energy, because that really is all there is. Everything is energy, right? And if you'd like to know more about me and the work that I do, or if you'd like to book a private session, please be sure to just visit my website at intuitivetransformations.net. That's intuitivetransformations.net. So it's April, and I want to remind everyone listening that April is officially Autism Awareness Month, and this is an international event, I should say. People all around the world are recognizing and educating themselves and learning more about autism this month, in the month of April. And as a mother of two beautiful autistic sons, I invite you to learn more about this puzzling disorder. And you can do that by visiting autismspeaks.org. Again, that's autismspeaks.org, because even if your life has not been personally touched or affected by autism, knowing more about it will allow you at least to understand how you can make the world a better place for someone living with this diagnosis. Again, that website is autismspeaks.org. So today we are going to talk about something that I believe everyone really struggles with to some level and degree, and that is the ultimate love relationship you can have in your life. The love relationship that you share with yourself is absolutely one of the most important and vital relationships that you can have. Now, this is not about being narcissistic or egotistical. That's not the kind of love I'm talking about where it's me, and I. This is that authentic, true self-love, which provides a firm foundation on which all your other relationships can be built upon. If you do not love and accept yourself fully and completely, I promise you it's going to be very, very difficult and really nearly impossible for you to love and accept others for who they are fully and completely. Today I have Danielle Gibbons joining me on the show, and we are going to talk about the wisdom and guidance from Mother Mary and Danielle's brand new book, Mother Mary's Pathway to Love, Building a Loving Relationship with Yourself that will transform your life. Now, Danielle is a full-body channel for Mother Mary and has channeled Mother Mary's teachings for well over 20 years. Danielle offers Mother Mary's teachings and meditations at live events, via audio recordings, and also in her online courses, which includes the very popular 11-week dailyom.com healing course, Falling in Love with Yourself. Danielle's course, Falling in Love with Yourself, has helped well over 7,000 people experience heart-centered self-love. She brings devotion and humor to her many public appearances, helping people to feel at ease, welcoming, and able to receive Mother Mary's presence and blessings in their lives. Danielle's willingness to honestly and openly share her past and present life experiences, which includes her personal struggle with food addiction and her emergence back into the joy of living, makes her ideal in this service. Now, if you're wondering who I'm referring to when I say Mother Mary, I think you'll get the gist of this as soon as I finish this next sentence. Mother Mary, who we all know, has served humanity for thousands of years as Divine Mother, whose grace, wisdom, and loving guidance encourages millions to love themselves unconditionally. Danielle Gibbons, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Sylvia. It's great to be here.
I am really excited to have this conversation about self-love because this is something that we really need to move into and embrace and stand in more fully.
I agree. I agree completely.
Absolutely. So Danielle, I've already shared a little bit with you before the show that as I was reading your book when we did our sound check, I kept thinking to myself, oh my goodness, that's me. As I was reading about your own unique version of the dark night of the soul, I'm like, yes, I've been there. And, you know, it's not just a single night. And I like how you talk about that in your book.
Yes.
It's a lot longer than a 24-hour experience.
That is for sure.
Isn't it? So I found your story of challenge and struggle and the questions that arose within you as a result to be very, very relatable. And that I really enjoyed that I was able to highlight so many of the pages as I read through your book.
I'm so glad.
Yeah, it was a really wonderful experience. So let's start off with how this all began with you, though, because now you're living a very different life today than that dark night of the soul, being a full body channel for Mother Mary and sharing with so many people this beautiful guidance, wisdom, blessing, and love about how we can begin to love ourselves unconditionally. So would you mind talking a little bit, though, about your dark night of the soul and what your life was like before you connected with Mother Mary?
Absolutely. I have to say most of my childhood was not anything outrageously horrible. I mean, there were periods that were very difficult, and they seemed to come in large chunks, meaning not spread out, but there were many events that came all at one time. And that left a hole in my soul, and I did not know how to fill it. I really didn't. And all these, I lost my father, my parents divorced just before, and new stepfather, and my grandmother died, my dog died, my father died. I mean, it was this crazy few years, and I was just becoming a teenager. And I tell you, Sylvia, I lost my confidence. I lost my trust. I lost my ability to really feel like I knew myself. I felt very adrift. And, you know, that's not the best way to start, as a teenager. And unfortunately, I did not have the life skills to understand what I needed so that I could ask for it. And I was not really raised to ask for what I needed. It was just not a tool that was, given to me by my parents. So for comfort, I turned to food. That was my go-to solution for everything. And at some point, and I can't really tell you the exact day, but at some point I crossed a line from using food to medicate emotionally into addiction. And once I crossed that line, there was no coming back. I have never met anyone who has really come back from addiction. I've met people who've come back from, heavy abusers of a certain substance, but I've never met anyone that ultimately cures themselves from addiction totally.
Especially with food, because that's
Yeah.
something that you need in order for your body to survive.
Yep, many times a day. It's not like you can just like alcohol where you can say, oh, well, I'm just going to abstain from that and you do what you need to do around that and you never have to touch it again. But you have to eat. And my eating disorder escalated so quickly. Oh, I'm so predisposed to an addict mentality, that obsessive compulsive way of thinking and feeling. And so I got pretty bad really quickly. And what that looked like for me is that the first thing I thought about when I woke up in the morning was food, how much I could eat, how often I could eat it throughout the day, and then what was I going to have to do to get it off my body, because I was terrified of being fat. I needed love so badly from everyone else, and I just decided in my head that if I gained too much weight, that people wouldn't love me. And so I started this roller coaster of binging on any kind of junk I could get a hold of almost every night, and then working horribly all day, every day to take it off. So it was, I started starving, periods of starvation, and then periods of binging. So basically what I ended up doing was gaining and losing the same 40 to 50 pounds every 3 to 4 months.
Wow. Well, it's really interesting because it's not just that you had this microcosm experience. I'm sure that it affected every aspect of your life as you tried to keep this, because addictions tend to be secrets.
Oh, a big secret. Nobody knew what I was doing with food.
Right. Well, I know we're going to come up on a break in just a moment, but when we return, we're going to continue this conversation with Danielle Gibbons, and we're going to learn more about self-love. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a moment.
The cutting edge of conscious radio, OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
Hi everyone, this is Shay Parker, the host of Best of the Best, which airs live right here on IOM Radio every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Pacific. I'm super excited to bring you expert guest hosts, spiritual discussions, free psychic readings, and so much more. I can promise that you will not want to miss this one-of-a-kind, fun, yet touching, down-to-earth show. Join us every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific on OTR-FM. This is Shay Parker, and I can't wait to see you there.
Join Elliot Jollish, the business therapist, each Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern for the Elliot Jollish Hour, as he interviews business experts on your behalf. And you're invited to email your business questions to questions@ecjgroup.com for answers, live, on air every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on the Elliot Jollish Hour.
Hello, I'm Miriam Knight of New Consciousness Review, inviting you to my new show where I interview the rising stars of the conscious awakening. We'll explore the many faces of consciousness in action and intriguing perspectives on life, the universe, and everything in between. Join us each Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern on the Rising Stars Show.
The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is. Free your mind with OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
To the break, I was just, I'm sorry, Danielle was just sharing a little bit about her dark night of the soul. She shared how, as a teenager, she experienced a great deal of loss and change. She lost her dog. Her father died shortly after her mother and father had gotten a divorce. She had gotten a new stepfather. So much change for a teenager to have to endure. Teenage years are tough enough. And then here she was going through this and not really feeling like she could even ask for what she wanted, and how, as a result, she ended up turning her emotional state toward food and becoming quite addicted to food in an unhealthy way. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely.
So what happened? What changed? Or how did you first begin to connect with Mother Mary?
Well, I had finally gotten help with my food addiction and was feeling in a pretty solid place. And I was living in Los Angeles at the time. I was in my mid-20s. And strangely enough, this is where I stepped on my spiritual path, because that's where the dark night led me. Because I found out that the only solution was a spiritual one for my particular addiction. And so I embraced that, because it was either, just embrace that or I wasn't going to make it. And so the choice at the time seemed fairly simple. And so I jumped on the path, and what was great about it is I just got into all these wonderful new ways of experiencing spirituality, because I wasn't particularly drawn to a religion. And so in Los Angeles, it was like a smorgasbord of spirituality. There was so much to discover. And I ended up moving to Sedona, Arizona. At the time, it was like the metaphysical, capital of the country, and had this great roommate, really gifted in energy. And I was doing a little bit of channeling, just a little bit, with nature spirits and very benign kind of things. And he said, "I think you should start channeling Mother Mary. You'd be a good match." And I thought, "Oh yeah, sure. Let me just call her up and I'll say, hey."
No pressure there.
No. I'm like, "Hey, I'm going to channel you now, if that's okay." I thought, yeah, fine. And then literally a week after he said this, I was in this extraordinary meditation. And I had this amazing meditation where, when you're just feeling like you're one with everything, you're just outside of everything. Mm-hmm. And it's this, you don't even feel yourself anymore so much. You just feel one with all. And it was in that moment that Mother Mary came to me. And I tell you, Sylvia, I had never, ever experienced unconditional love until that moment.
Wow.
It was extraordinary. And it was, I was filled with a kind of love I didn't even know existed, because I think it's hard for humans to really grasp unconditional,
Absolutely. I mean, how many of us get raised in a home where we're unconditionally loved?
Well, yeah, because we just, we're all human and we all put conditions on things, and it's tough. So that's one of the blessings of the divine, is that unconditional love and acceptance. And Mother said to me, that she and I had this agreement for me to channel her. I knew channeling, I'd been introduced to it, but I didn't quite know what she was asking me. And she said, "Do you want to honor that agreement?" And the best part was, in that moment, I knew if I said no, that she would love me exactly the same as if I said yes. And that was such a shift for me. And so I said yes. It felt like I'd been working my whole life, or living my whole life, for that moment. I feel like it was my defining moment. And I said yes with open heart and arms and mind, and And that was the beginning.
So when she said you had an agreement, this was like a soul agreement that you had made even before you came into this life?
Yes, that was my feeling. When she said that, that's exactly what it felt like, that before I had come to this body, when I was in spirit, that we had made this agreement.
Wow. And so what is it that you notice? I mean, when people experience Mother Mary's you channeling Mother Mary, how does it impact them and affect their lives?
Most of the time, and this is just most of the time, people often just start crying spontaneously because they feel it. Because when she comes to my body, it's not just inside my body. It's not just contained inside my body. It's given to the whole group, meaning you right now, the people that are listening, no matter if they're listening now or at another time. So she brings so much energy to whatever experience that she's asked to bring the energy to, and people often just start crying. They are overwhelmed with the beauty of the feeling, and they're often surprised by that because they may not have had a particular connection with Mother Mary. They didn't grow up Catholic. They are often very surprised by the feeling that they get when they're in her presence. And the rest of the people have a very positive experience. And every once in a blue moon, and I mean every once in a blue moon, someone just doesn't feel much of anything. They don't resonate. It just doesn't resonate with them. But that's definitely the exception to the rule.
Wow, that's really beautiful. And I want to let everyone know who's listening that later in the show, Danielle has graciously agreed to bring Mother Mary in. And so you want to make sure that you stay tuned and listen to the entire show so that you can have that experience and connection with this beautiful, divine, feminine energy of Mother Mary for yourself. So I want to talk a little bit more about your beautiful book.
Thank you.
And because it really, to me, it's called Mother Mary's Pathway to Love, Building a Loving Relationship with Yourself that will transform your life. Isn't this what people really need more? We're always looking outside for something to love us and not realizing the love is not in those things out there. It's in us. And that's just a mirror.
Exactly. And it's a powerful path to commit to because it's tough, because then you have to start really taking responsibility for your own feelings, your own reactions to things. So it's definitely a challenge. But the best part about it is you really discover how wonderful you are. Imagine your friend, one of your best friends, and when you sit down and talk to them and they just love you and they're animated and you're laughing and you're talking, well, there's a reason that they're your friend, because you are truly wonderful. They want to spend time with you. So for you to go within and discover that beauty for yourself, it's a game changer. I mean, it really wakes you up to a whole nother level of love.
I completely agree with you. And one of the things I really loved about your book was that you dedicated 2 whole chapters on trust. And I think that trust is a key component to being able to love yourself, because how many of us have been taught as we grow up that we should never, ever trust ourselves. We should always trust someone outside of ourselves.
Yes, very true. Very true.
And so when I was reading your book, and I recognized so much of how I was even taught to not allow myself to be connected with how I was really feeling. When someone would ask me, "How are you?" I would always say, "I'm fine."
Yes. Yes, that is the kiss of death, the fine.
It is. It is. And but but being raised that way, you think it's what keeps you safe, and it doesn't.
It's true. And it's what you believe other people want to hear because they don't really want to hear how you, or that's the inner belief that they don't really want to hear how you are, or
And
that how you're feeling, it's not worth talking about, or, all the other things we tell ourselves.
and how self-limiting and devaluing is that to our psyche?
Yes, yes. And generates even more pain, than what might happen in the normal course of a lifetime.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, what I really appreciate, and there's many things I appreciate about the book, but I really do appreciate that this whole book is focused on those aspects that we ignore on our road to self-love, like the trust, like the miracle, even that it doesn't, it may take a long time. It may happen overnight, letting go of the blame, stepping into forgiveness. Those are very powerful players in the road to self-love.
It is. And it's not easy because we hang on to these things because we have given them value. And so, the whole process of coming to love yourself is a lot about changing those values. And oftentimes they're values that you've never even considered that you might have, because who wants to say, oh, I value blame. I value distrust. It's.
But if you turn the TV on right now,
That's right.
it's very clear that's what's being valued, isn't it?
Yes, I agree.
Oh, well, everyone, we're going to another break. Please stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few minutes to continue this lovely conversation with Danielle Gibbons, talking about her brand new book, Mother Mary's Pathway to Love. We'll return in just a few moments.
The best of holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
This is Terry Van Horn, and I want to invite you to join me for my weekly radio show, Healing Light, on OMTimes Radio every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On Healing Light, we want to bring love, light, and blessings into your world. You can find out more about us at www.healinglightonline.com. Blessings.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
Hi everyone, this is Shay Parker, the host of Best of the Best, which airs live right here on IOM Radio every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Pacific. I'm super excited to bring you expert guest hosts, spiritual discussions, free psychic readings, and so much more. I can promise that you will not want to miss this one-of-a-kind, fun, yet touching, down-to-earth show. Join us every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific on OTR-FM. This is Shay Parker, and I can't wait to see you there.
Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business. Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
radio show on OMTimes Radio FM. And I have been having a wonderful time with my amazing guest, Danielle Gibbons, the author of Mother Mary's Pathway to Love, Building a Loving Relationship with Yourself that Will Transform Your Life. Now, Danielle is also a full body channeler. She channels Mother Mary. And I'm going to ask Danielle if she wouldn't mind bringing Mother Mary in, because I have some questions that I would like Mother Mary to address, especially in regards to love. Because Danielle, people have many, many definitions of love. Yes. Based upon their history and their past. And I know for me, here I am, 58 years old, and I'm just now really learning what love is, because for my whole life, because of my conditioning, my definition of love was either worry or fear or a lot of hard work.
Yes.
And effort. Yes. Yeah. And I want to change that definition.
Well, you certainly are. Absolutely. You're doing it right now.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I would like to invite you, if you're open, to bring in Mother Mary for those who are listening.
Absolutely. And so I would invite anyone who's listening who would like to join me in just closing your eyes and taking some deep breaths. And it'll take me just about 45 seconds to a minute to bring Mother through. Okay? And then she'll say hello to you, Sylvia, when she's here.
Oh, beautiful.
Hello, beloved one.
Hello, Mother Mary.
It is wonderful to be here with you and all those that are listening.
Mother Mary, can you share with us what love is?
It would be my joy to do so, my dear. The very simple understanding of love is the feeling of buoyancy, the feeling of lightness, the feeling of expansion, as if when it comes to you, you want to do a little dance, even if you're making a very hard decision, even if you have to say no to someone or something, and it's difficult to say that no, but when you say it, there's right away that feeling that rushes in, that makes you want to do a little dance, that makes you feel light, buoyant, open. Does that make sense?
It does. That's beautiful.
Good. And it's not based on what someone does or doesn't do, says or doesn't say. It is not based on life events. It is not even based on the way you automatically react to certain events or people in your life. What it's based on, and this is the most important part, what it's based on is your connection with yourself. You are the wellspring of love for your own life. And how that wellspring comes from inside of you and flows out into the rest of the world, that's how you then fill your life with love, or the events of your life. Does that make sense?
It does.
Good.
How can we embody that more and exchange the fearful conditioning that we have practiced and rehearsed for most of our lives?
I'm so glad you asked me that, beloved. That's a wonderful question. And I just want to say that the question itself is the answer, right? So you are offering tools for intuitive transformation to your listeners. And one of the best tools that you can have is curiosity. Now, there's two ways to ask a question. One is from doubt, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the other is from curiosity. I would encourage you and all those that are listening to learn how to embrace curiosity. Even if you believe you know, just tell yourself or be open to knowing more or something new or something a bit different.
And that allows us to move out, release our judgment then, doesn't it?
Exactly. And when you can release that judgment, then your curiosity grows, and it grows and grows. And within that curiosity, love is very much alive, because love is always looking for an outlet. It wants to come from that wellspring within you and flow outward. So the curiosity helps to remove the dam that people build within themselves to hoard their love or to keep love away from themselves. So curiosity starts to dismantle that dam.
Beautiful. So for the many people who are in the midst of challenging personal experiences where they have, in many ways, they're in their dark night of the soul.
Yes.
And they're not feeling like they can fully consider even curiosity because what they're experiencing feels so real and so threatening and so frightful. Is there something that you can share with them that would encourage and lift their energy to allow them to move through these obstacles with more grace and ease?
Yes, and this is the most important thing. Well, it's important in all of life, but particularly when you are in the dark night of the soul. You must find support. And when you are in that dark night, the last thing you want to do is eat well, laugh, take good care of yourself, exercise. It's almost as if the shadow is telling you that the right thing to do is to eat poorly, don't exercise, don't meditate. So it's hard to move beyond that shadow, that influence. So what you need to do is to find a group of people whom you like their energy. It can be a church, a spiritual center, a meditation class. It doesn't matter. A group of friends that agree to get together once a week to meditate together. Get support, because on your own, that dark night is too much for you. You need support, and preferably a larger group of people. And what I mean by larger, more than just one or two, because that way the group energy can be very, very supportive. But as you seek this, be careful. Be very careful in how you choose. Make sure that the energy you feel is supportive without asking anything of you. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, yes.
Because if a group is asking too much of you, that's not the group for you. When you're in the dark night, you need to go to seek support and receive. When you are out of the dark night, then you are the one to support others within that group.
Mother Mary, thank you so incredibly much for your presence, for your grace, for your wisdom, for your truth, for being with us in this moment. I so appreciate and love you. Thank you.
You are welcome, beloved. So welcome.
Well, I hope everyone listening received those words of wisdom. I don't know about you, but I really felt a stirring in my heart as Danielle brought through Mother Mary. That was absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much. Danielle, are you back with us?
Yes, I am.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much. That was amazing.
You are welcome. You're so welcome. She is amazing. I have to agree 100%.
Oh, she is absolutely amazing. I mean, I just have chills. It's just a beautiful, beautiful experience. And I know we're going to be going to another break very soon. And when we return, I want you to share how people can get your book, how they can find out more about you, find out about your courses and your live events. I know you've also done some live streaming in the past, and I'm not sure if you're going to pick that back up or not, but I really want you to begin to share how people can connect with you when we return from the break.
Okay, fantastic.
Absolutely. And I tell you, everyone who's listening, you're going to want to download this show because that energetic vibration was very authentic and very real. When we return after the break, more of Danielle Gibbons and her book, Mother Mary's Pathway to Love. We'll be back in just a moment. Stay tuned.
Connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Circle of Hearts Radio is a sanctuary on the airwaves. Join me, Grandmother Elia, in the circle on Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern as I share information to both enlighten and nourish your soul.
Matt Connerton here. Join Jen Coffey and I twice a week for Matt Connerton Unleashed, a political talk show that's a little different than what you're used to. No liberal or conservative agenda here, just an honest dialogue about truth and how things really work in the world of politics. Matt Connerton Unleashed, every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio.
Join Elliot Jollish, the business therapist, each Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern for the Elliot Jollish Hour, as he interviews business experts on your behalf. And you're invited to email your business questions to questions@ecjgroup.com for answers, live, on air every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on the Elliot Jollish Hour. As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is. Bringing you the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio, your conscious lifestyle on steroids.
Hello and welcome back. You're listening to Sylvia Henderson on the Intuitive Transformations radio show on the OMTimes network. And before we went to the break, Danielle Gibbons, who is my very special guest, brought in the wonderful high vibrational energy of Mother Mary. And I tell you, I'm still feeling it viscerally within my heart chakra quite a bit. That was very profound. And I can't wait to listen to this again when I'm not distracted by hosting the show, because that was really quite lovely. Thank you so much for sharing that with myself and our listeners, Danielle.
You're very welcome, Sylvia.
Thank you. And then Danielle, can you please tell everyone how they can find you and get involved in some of your live events and find your book?
Absolutely. The very best place to get in touch with me and commune with Mother is on our website. That is www.belovedpublications.com. belovedpublications.com. And from there you can go out to, go to Amazon to buy our new book. I do have a live event coming up on the Spirituality Symposium at Learn It Live. Tomorrow at 1:30 p.m.
Oh, fantastic.
On Pacific time, we're doing meditations on love.
How perfect.
This is the second one in the series. The one last week was fantastic. I did it on Wednesday as a celebration for my book being published on that day. And that it was just beautiful. So the second one is tomorrow at 1:30 Pacific time. And you can go to www.spiritualitysymposium.com. And I'm a featured class.
Beautiful. And then now if people go to your website, belovedpublications.com, is it better for them to order the book from there or from Amazon?
Well, I'm only selling it through Amazon, so not through my website. Yes. And you can get the Kindle version or the print version, whichever you prefer. And I have links to my YouTube page. There's lots of videos of Mother Mary on my YouTube page. And you can connect with me on Facebook and Twitter. And also Sylvia mentioned that I have a long-running best-selling course on dailyom.com, Falling in Love with Yourself. And one of the great things about Daily Om is they let you set your own price in what you pay for the course.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Yes. And people love it. I tell you, it's such a great thing that, people can search their heart and pay what they're drawn to pay. And so you can get Mother's phenomenal course, Falling in Love with Yourself, for, next to nothing. It's really great.
Wow, that's beautiful. I hope everyone listening will take advantage of that, because what a gift that is to the spiritual community. Thank you, dailyhome.com.
Exactly. I know.
That is just beautiful. So how does your book, Mother Mary's Pathway to Love, Building a Loving Relationship with Yourself That Will Transform Your Life, help readers build a loving relationship that will actually transform their life?
Well, the book contains, in Mother's teachings, she asks questions of you. She gives suggestions to actions to take. Meditations are at the end of each of her teachings. And I tell you, Sylvia, from not just my own personal experience, but for hundreds and hundreds of people that have worked very closely with Mother Mary over the years, that if you're willing to make the effort and do what she's asking you to do, you will be amazed at the transformation that happens within yourself. It is, I hear it from my courses, from the workshops, the live events. When people are willing to make the effort and do what she encourages them to do, you get results. It's a real simple formula, actually. And so I suggest that for those of you that are interested in buying the book, to think about it not just as a book to read, but as a workbook, to get your journal out and answer the questions and try the meditations and to see what starts to happen.
I love that. And this is why I have this show, is because I love having people like you on who have, who are offering answers. You know, unfortunately, we don't get to just flip a light switch and transform immediately.
No.
You know, it took a long time for us to get where we are today.
Absolutely.
And it's an unwinding process of releasing and forgiveness. And I will say the one thing I have noticed in my 20 years of working with energy and healing, the thing that is most in common is you must identify what is out of balance and then forgive it, because there's usually something there you're not accepting within yourself or someone else or some experience that is locking whatever physical or emotional or financial or relationship issue that's not working in your life.
I agree. And here's the tough part. You have to do that forgiveness without knowing the outcome.
Right, without expecting anything to change, right?
Exactly. So, no, really, this is for the courageous and the bold at heart.
It really is, but living the other way is not any fun.
No. And if you're one of those people who is drawn to spiritual life, you are never going to be satisfied with anything less than self-realization.
Exactly.
That's been my experience.
Exactly. Can you talk a little bit about your chapter that you called Mr. Hyde? And you start off with, I love my shadow.
I do. And this is really from Mother's teachings because, I had the Hollywood version of my shadow, completely vilified and demonized, and that it was all awful and my ego was horrible and the root of all evil inside me. And the truth was that, I'm just really an average person with the same difficulties as everyone else's. And Mother teaches that the shadow is a key to unlocking a lot of that fear around forgiveness and fear of moving forward. And the more I got to know my shadow, there were so many things about it that I loved. And my humor is like at the top of the list. Because if I didn't have my humor, I would never have survived this. Never. And I tend to dip into gallows humor. I tend to have some black humor every once in a while. And, that's part of what helps me not take myself so seriously. I discovered that compassion was part of my shadow. Because, my ability to relate to other people's pain and to empathize with them and to really get them as they go through their own difficulties, that's compassion. That's my compassion. And the only way I can have that is because what I'm empathizing with is my shadow and your shadow are very similar.
Exactly.
So these were some surprising discoveries that I had always attributed to light and the loving part of self. And really what I'm finding is the shadow and light are, if I'm willing to go there, they're very much in balance. They work together beautifully. And I don't have to fight my shadow. I don't have to be at war with my shadow anymore.
And how freeing is that? Because, and I'll be honest, there's a lot of teachings out there that, because the shadow, that's the ego, right? The conditioned self, those aspects of ourself that we want to reject. We don't want anyone to know that we have, but we want to point out everyone else who has the same thing, right?
Yeah,
right. But to be able to love it and accept it and own it, it dissolves the power that it's held over you.
Yes. It takes the wind right out of those sails.
Exactly.
It's beautiful. And what you're left with is just this feeling that, wow, I don't think I'm so terrible that I had just, built myself up to be.
And that's a huge part of that journey to complete self-love.
Exactly. Yes.
Because if you can't forgive yourself and release that within you, you will not be able to release it toward your brother and your sister.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Because if I'm too mired in that, then I'm so quick to see that in everybody else.
Exactly.
And not a fun mix.
Yeah, I see that with my clients all the time, and it's almost humorous from my side of the table when they're talking about someone in their life and blaming them and being upset. And then I'm like, oh, wow, but you're doing exactly,
I know. And it's just, but that's the need for consciousness.
Yes.
Because without consciousness, it's so hard to hear yourself when you're in that, in that rag and you're just ragging on whatever. And it's hard to hear yourself, to feel yourself. But the beauty of consciousness is even when you start to dip into that, you're like, oh, wait a minute. I don't like the feeling that this is all bringing up by me rehashing this over and over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah. Or you end up in a dark night of the soul. Either one will work.
And once you're in that dark night, there's no place to go but up.
Absolutely.
It's your bottom for sure.
Absolutely. Well, Danielle, we're coming to the end of the show. Thank you so very, very much for being my guest and for sharing your insights and for sharing Mother Mary with everyone.
You are so welcome, Sylvia. And I just want to say thank you for your service. Your show is a beacon of light and love. And just thank you for being of service.
Thank you so much. I received that with an open heart. Everyone, thank you for listening once again. We'll be back next Sunday with another wonderful show. Enjoy your life and love yourself because you are lovable. Bye-bye for now.